How you are in the world matters. Overwhelm is inevitable and optional. Time to listen up and make it optional for you.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Overwhelm is Optional podcast, where I'm really excited to have Charlotte Russell with me. Charlotte is one of my favourite people. She's quite young for an entrepreneur. I won't reveal her age, that's her business, but she has achieved so much so early in life. And yeah, she's the co-founder of the Landscapers Circle, which provides support for the horticultural industry. So they help landscapers and garden designers, who are some of my favourite people, because outside space is really important to me. So I'm really glad that Charlotte does this work, but I'm going to let her gradually, she will tell you more about how she helps, what she does, what she's passionate about, as we start to hear her story. So welcome, Charlotte. And the question that we always start with is, tell me about your adventures in Overwhelm.
Hello, first of all. I think that my adventures in Overwhelm have been very ups and downs. There's been peaks and troughs of it. And every time, I guess the peaks of Overwhelm got a little bit higher every time.
Yeah.
But it's so gradual, you almost don't notice it. But with hindsight, which is obviously a wonderful thing, I can see it how over the years, it kind of peaked and troughed. And I would say I was always very like education, like with my GCSEs, and then I was very much revision all the time. And I think it started there with like stress on myself to get the perfect grades. And then it kind of, with the business and things, kind of went up and up and up and up. And then I kind of reached this point that we offer a membership, and then we offer kind of done for you marketing agency services, where because I had both things, I was getting very overwhelmed. And then that's when I met Heidi, which was great, because I got to this point that I was like, I don't know what to do anymore. All my usual stuff, the usual things that you kind of implement to kind of help you, like a quick fix or like to help with the overwhelm, they weren't helping anymore. And what kind of things
did you try?
I would normally try and, well, first of all, brain dump. That was my usual thing of like, right, well, what's everything that, again, a massive to-do list, which is kind of counterintuitive in itself. But I would just like brain dump everything, and then that would make me feel temporarily better, because it was like, it's not in my head anymore.
Right.
It's on paper. If I was feeling that way, it would normally mean overworking. So it would mean, right, this is going to be temporary. I'm just going to overwork. That will make me feel better, which it did when that big launch or that whatever happened.
Right.
But then once the continuous work started building up to be more frequent, as well as the launches, that's when it kind of hit the point where I was like, well, I'm overworking, I'm knackered, I feel like crap, and there's no more for me to give. My temporary fix is not working.
No, just stop working.
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it, what you say about how you recognise it started at school, because I recognise that as a former teacher, the amount of pressure. And then people say, oh, but we've all been through it. But I think it has changed. I think it's got more intense, and I'm not quite sure why. And I expect there's lots of reasons, and I don't really care what the reasons are. What I care is I've noticed it in people. Some of my clients in their 20s and 30s have been through that. And it's almost like you get stuck in that mode of emergency, isn't it? It's like, so I'm just going to sacrifice stuff to get these GCSE results. And then you kind of think that it's temporary, and then you reset. But then there's the next thing. And there's almost, I'm interested in what you said, like the peaks just carried on getting bigger. Whereas what we think in our head, or at least this is my experience looking back, like you say, hindsight is an amazing thing. We think the peak comes and then we're going to go in the trough and relax, like a holiday or weekend, or like the end of a launch or something. But I don't think that's actually happening, is it? I think it's literally like we're climbing a mountain of stress, but we think we're letting go of it. And I was really interested in what you said at the beginning. It's like it just creeps up on you. It's like the sneakiest thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think as well, like you have the peaks, and then it's like I'm visualizing with my hand, which isn't very helpful. But the troughs are a little trough compared to the peak, but they're not back down where they were at the bottom. It's like and then the peaks have got higher. Because looking back now again with hindsight, I threw myself into my GCSEs, and I'd love to have had at school someone talk to me about different other avenues. All it was you go to college and university, or you do an apprenticeship in things like hairdressing or engineering, all very hands-on things. There was no mention of a marketing apprenticeship, because I would have just jumped straight into that. But I was so focused on it that then when I did go to college, I didn't have any motivation to do any revision or anything like that. And it wasn't that I wasn't enjoying the classes or the teachers or anything. I was like, I don't know what's wrong. Like, I'm enjoying everything, but I almost feel like, and I said this to my partner, I was like, I almost feel like I'd had enough of like the intense studying. Like, I think I just had, burnt out with it. I think I used to just pour everything into studying. So yeah, I think that was.
It is quite interesting, isn't it? Because we get this. So you're saying I didn't have any like momentum or enthusiasm to revise. And that sounds terrible, right? It's like, oh, this is a problem. But what if it's not a problem? What if we turn it around and say, this is a symptom. This is useful information. I'm loving the course, but I don't want to revise because I'm sick of it. And then if we started to pay attention to that, maybe it would just be, actually, that's a really good thing that you're sick of it, because your body and your mind are going, this isn't good for us. You know, I wonder if instead of seeing it as terrible, we just went, well, this is a course correct. So this is useful information. And maybe this isn't the best way to go through my life.
I know. And I think I kind of ignored it at college because I didn't see there's any other option. But then I got my results, and I'm very glad that it did happen the way it did. And it was a good thing, as you said, because it made me because when I did it, it was AS levels first year, A levels. So I could leave with my AS levels. And I was like, I need to get an apprenticeship, because I got these results back, and I was the girl that got A stars and A's across her GCSEs. And I got a B, a C, and then in Spanish, which I knew I was going to get because it was a huge jump from GCSE to AS level, I got an E. And I was just like, this thing, like, no, this, if I continue, it's not going to do me any good. I need to see if there's anything else out there. And then that's how I found the apprenticeship, which introduced me to my business partner that is now Paula, about the time I was in her employee. So I wouldn't have changed it for anything, but it was almost, as you say, like your brain signaling, like, no, enough's enough. You need to, you're not on the right course.
I'd love to come back to what you said about marketing, because you said if there had been a chance to do marketing, even from an early age, you would have jumped at it. Why? How did you know? Like, I didn't even know there was a thing called marketing at that age. So what is it that pulls you to marketing?
It was, so my dad's worked for very big companies like Bacardi and Twinings, and he always used to talk about the creatives, and like we'd see the ads come up on the TV. And I've always been very artsy. My mum said as a kid, when I was a toddler, she could just sit me down with a colouring pad and just let me be there. And she said, unlike my brother who was running off and she had to watch him all the time, she could just leave me and I'd be there for hours, just like colouring. I've always been very creative and loved doing the projects. And even at school at GCSE, I did my art GCSE. I was always very artistic. And I also loved projects. Like, I loved coursework much more than exams. I loved that side of things. And in a sense, marketing is very similar to that. Normally it involves a very creative element, whether that's through copy, because again, I love books, I love reading, I love writing. I did creative writing courses and all sorts. And it also encompassed the artistic side with the graphics, and it encompassed the project base. So with launches, with things like that, it's all very, we're doing this campaign, we're doing this project. And I think that's what, when my father was talking to me about it, I was like, oh yeah, like that seems really interesting. But when I did my research, like, because I was very much like proactive, I was just like, I'm going to look online. And when you went to like the school, they booked you an appointment with the school, I guess counsellor, not really, but you know, when they have what are you going to do after school? Yeah, careers. And she was like, okay, well, if you want to do marketing, you've got to go to college and university. And there was no discussion of like, there just seemed to be nothing on marketing apprenticeships at the time. But there was, I just couldn't find it.
That's really interesting, isn't it? I'm wondering, Do you think that there should be more acknowledgement that probably a minority, but a certain percentage of kids at school really need to understand that although it's tricky, entrepreneurship is an option?
Yeah, and I just think other options of like other routes of finding the career that you want, because I know that so many of my friends have since been to uni and they found that they've gone to employers and they're not getting the job because although they have the degree, they don't have the practical experience. And the whole reason, I never really wanted to go to university ever. And the whole reason was because I'd heard of people like that. I had some friends that were older than me, but also what they teach you in marketing and university is very different to what you actually do. It's all very theory based. So SWOT analysis, like strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, threats, and it's all very theory, which some of it's very helpful. And I have done some studying since. I did a CIM digital marketing qualification. But it is very different to your practical, right? How do I do a social media campaign? How do I do email marketing? It's very different.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It sounds like you ought to be designing courses for people who want to do this, although maybe not, because actually it sounds like you have started to create work that is really satisfying for you, and that is really using your strengths and your knowledge and your qualifications, because it kind of feels like everything has come to this point, because listening to you talk about your story, it's like, well, obviously you should be marketing because it enables you to bring the copywriting is the skills with words, and then the skills with images, and then it's just really exciting. So you set up this business a few years ago with Paula Warman, and now you've really started to do even more in the social media marketing thing. Do you want to talk about how you're really starting to specialize now? Because you've just won an award, I think.
Yeah, so we just found out last week, amazingly, which was that we won the Specialist Marketing Agency of the Year for South England.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was like really good news. Thank you. Because originally we set out TLC I call it the Landscaper Circle, we call it TLC. I set out TLC with Paula, and it was very much the membership side, the support for garden designers and landscapers, and the video tutorials. But as we kind of developed, people were going, "Oh, can you just do it for me?"
Right.
And that's where it came more on. And most of the questions we get asked are about social media. And so it has been a focus either through social media management through the agency or tutorials and classes. And I think it's just because it's one of those things, marketing, I love it, but there's so much up for interpretation, first of all, and making it apply to your business and what's right for you. Also, there's an overwhelming amount of information out there. And if you Google how to do social media, you're going to get like trillions of results. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So as someone who's spent time and money and experience in social media training, I can come to garden designers and landscapers because I also know the industry. I work for Paula's design and landscaping business that she's had for over a decade with her husband. I can say, right, out of everything I know, here's what applies to you. You don't need to look at all this other crap. Like, this is what you need to know. This is how it's going to work for you. And I think that's why we kind of work well with people, is because we kind of apply it to them. And also,
it's like you're cutting through some of their overwhelm as well, because
yes,
when you have a business, to start with, you want to do it all yourself, but it is overwhelming, isn't it? Because as soon as you Google anything, there's like a trillion results. So it's really good that you're offering everything. You're offering I'll do it for you, and then this is how you can do it. So that's so I guess that's become, because of your love of marketing, that must be why. Is that part of your business growing quite a lot at the moment?
Yeah, so we're always looking for ways, both Paula and I are always looking for ways to kind of improve our offering. So we have the DIY, the video tutorials on social, for example. We then have the done for you social media management. But what we were finding is that people didn't want to do it themselves, but they didn't want to spend the hundreds of pounds a month it is to hire me full time for social.
Yeah.
So we created Expert Social, which is like an in-between. So it's customizable captions, some customizable graphics that they pay and buy on our online shop. and they can use them. So it saves them a heap of amount of time. They've just got to customize them with their business name or whatever's in the caption. So it's that in between. And I think, it's been our membership's growing, but Done For You is the one where it's like really, we call it Done For You, our agency services. It's where it's really skyrocketed, because particularly with the kind of COVID boom for the industry that we've seen, whereby people are spending all this time at home, they want to update their garden, they want to enjoy their garden because they're overwhelmed with being in the house, stuck in the one room with the office. Everyone's like, I've got so many inquiries and I can't possibly handle them, but I don't want to just stop posting, because there's also this fear that we found in the industry, which is you have the busy period of the summer where all the inquiries are flooding in, and then the desolate, quiet winter. And they're like, trying to make, what's the saying, where the hay shines, I'm trying to do it all now.
The sun shines, yeah.
That's the one. I'm trying to do that. But I also am very conscious that we're right around the corner to the winter months when it's going to go really quiet. So I still want to be posting on social. And so I think that's been, an insane shift, which has been an actual test for my overwhelm as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, how on earth are you coping with all of this? Because that sounds like in the last 6 months to a year, you've almost double or tripled what you're having to cope with and manage. And that's a lot that you're managing, because you're reducing overwhelm for business owners. But how are you coping?
Yeah, so again, I think it comes in ebbs and flows, but I've been able recently, thanks to Heidi, to like ebbs and flows them, smaller ebbs and flows, in terms of I'm able to recognize it at a much earlier point and stop it. Because when I first came to you, obviously I was like completely overwhelmed with Done For You agency side. I was like, it's taking up all my time, feel like I am just completely overwhelmed.
Yeah, and I remember that. So that we started working together, didn't we, earlier this year? You were one of the first people in Get Your Life Back. Is that I wasn't aware of the business journey. So at that point that you reached out to me, was that when because I remember you saying it was the Done For You stuff, you were so overloaded, and it was just like, can you just describe what that was like? What was going on for you? What did it feel like? Because on the one hand, it's really exciting when a business suddenly grows. But I remember you saying that actually you weren't sure if you wanted to carry on, which doesn't sound right to somebody who's obviously very passionate, is born to do what you're doing. Can you just describe what that felt like? Because I'm sure that people can resonate with that.
So I'd been working on the business. I'd left my job and I've been working on it for probably about a year at that point. And it was so quick. I think that was the difference. It was like, I've been working to try and get these clients in. They all come in like floods. And then it was like, oh shit, now what? Like all of these people have come in, they all are demanding my attention. This is amazing. And it was also that trap that I think is common that you fall in, of like, I don't want to be moaning because I'm very lucky, because what I've wanted has happened. I have got the clients in.
Yes, I shouldn't be moaning. I ought not to feel like this.
Yes.
You're shitting yourself.
Exactly. And I was like, I shouldn't be feeling like this. But it got to the point where I was like, it's taking up so much of my time. I'm missing things. I'm slipping things, which I'm a very conscientious person. I always want to give people everything on time, if not early. Like I'm very much like I'm a people pleaser. I want to make everyone happy.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm missing things. I'm forgetting things. I'm never forgetful. Everyone always tells me how amazing my memory is. And I'm missing things. And even in my personal life, like my boyfriend, even recently, because I've had numerous things going on and I've noticed it and tried to pull it back again. But he's like, you're the one that normally remembers all the birthdays, all the anniversaries and all the things. And at one point I was like, oh my God, I forgot our anniversary.
Oh no.
And I was just like, and he didn't care. He was lovely. And he was just like joking around, but I was just like, oh my gosh. But yeah, so it reached this point and I was like, I hate Done For You. I hate it. I don't want to do it. I despise it. And I started resenting it because it felt like it was taking all of my time.
And your
headspace. It was all I was thinking about. It was constant.
Did you have that waking you up in the night thing?
Yeah. And I'd be having that thing of, I started, because I'd been forgetting things, not necessarily big things for the business, but little things that only I would notice.
Yeah.
I'm there going, right, 7 p.m. Did that post go out for that client?
Yeah.
Got to be, did I do that post? I'm not sure if I did that post. Also, because I didn't have certain processes in place I have now, where it's like I could get the information from them in a time. So it wasn't like, oh, we're doing a last minute post here or a last minute post here.
Yeah.
It's now kind of normally set much further in advance. But at the time, it was like, did I do that? Did I do that? Did I do that? And I'm doubting myself. So,
and that creates a lot of work, doesn't it? Because if you've got this nagging thing in your head where you're not sure if it's being taken care of, that weighs there. And it's like this niggle, it's like this little worm in your brain, isn't it? And it's like, I know there's something I've forgotten. And because we don't want to let anyone down, because we have these high standards, because we are dependable, it's so threatening. It feels like a really severe threat, doesn't it? And in the end, it's not. It's something really small, but it's like it will just stay there and stay there and stay there. And then 1 o'clock in the morning, I just need to check this. And it's not great, is it? So I'm really interested, because I remember one of the very first things we did together is I just went, and it's funny hearing you talking about how your mum would sit you down with colouring, because one of the first things you did was colour code.
Yes.
Whack-a-mole to-do list into things that you actually wanted to do and things that you really didn't, so that you got some clarity. Because when we started working together, you were just like, I don't know, like your brain was spread over like an entire country, you were like, just,
yeah.
It's like your mind wasn't really yours to use to be able to get that overview that we need. So what happened when you did that colouring? the colour code.
It satisfied the person in me that loves to colour code, first of all. So it was
I said 2 colours and you came back with like, yeah, I think I've used 5. I've got this really in-depth colouring. It was very yeah,
because I'm kind of, normally I find, and this is generalizing, but normally I find someone's either very creative and not so much process driven, which is very much, Paula won't mind me saying this, she's very creative with processes. She's like, right, I trust you, Shah, just make it work and then let me know when it's like ready. She can't deal with that, whereas I'm both. So, and that's the other thing as well. I think my mind was so spread, and when I did the to-do list, I was like, and color coded it, I noticed the amount of tasks that I was doing that I didn't want to do, and why I wasn't wanting to do them. I think that's the extra colors that I had, because it wasn't necessarily that it wasn't a task I didn't enjoy, but it was the way I was doing it, or or how I was doing it. Because I know the other stress for me was not only letting my clients down, but we'd only just taken on our new apprentice, Mia, and I was trying to train her at the same time.
Right.
And I felt like I wasn't giving her the attention that she needed to make progression in her job and actually make my life easier. And it's that kind of
juxtaposition in different directions. And it sounds like a lot of what you felt was on your plate was pressurizing you and draining you rather than energizing you. And that's not why you read all those marketing books.
No, not at all. And I was like, I used to love this stuff. Like I used to really enjoy it, and I don't know why. And it was just, I think everything came kind of in floods all at once, and I'd gotten Mia on to help me, but then I felt like I wasn't giving her the attention to train her and how I wanted to do things, so she couldn't actually relieve me of that.
Yeah.
So, and then it was that cycle, and then I was like, right, or I was spending some time with her during the day and then working in the evenings to do the bits that I hadn't done during the day. So
then you're overworking.
Yes.
To cope. How did that work out for you?
Crap, because it meant that I didn't have any wind down time before bed. I mean, I struggle with getting to sleep anyway. I'm the type of person that my brain just kind of ticks on, whether it's about work or about random stuff. So I'd find that it would take me absolutely forever to get to sleep. Occasionally I'd have that, as you say, 1 o'clock in the morning or 11 o'clock at night, wake up and think, did that post go out? And then when I do go to sleep, I'm a very vivid dreamer anyway, but it would all be focused probably, I'd say 70% of the time around work.
Right.
I'd be dreaming of, And it would be weird scenarios as well. Don't get me wrong. It might be like, oh, a cake's turned up at the workplace and it's going everywhere, or like it would be stupid things that obviously would never happen. But my brain's obviously in that like catastrophizing.
Yeah.
State.
And that's not very restful, is it? Because when we sleep in that kind of not quite switching off mode, you know, I don't know about you, but when I used to do that, when I was in my burnout phase, I'd wake up some mornings feeling like I'd already done a day's work in the night.
Yeah.
And it was exhausting. And it would also take me quite a long time to kind of, you know, I'd be wandering through the day looking like I was coping and behaving, you know, because I never wanted anybody to know that I wasn't coping. And it would look like I knew what I was doing, but I felt like at any moment, I don't know, it's like my brain just didn't wake up. You know, it was like, I guess it's overuse of the brain, isn't it? It's kind of sleep working both in the day and the night. Yeah.
I'd find that I'd wake up and like my family would be like, how are you tired? Like you went to bed at like 10. And I'm like, yeah, well, I didn't get to sleep till X. And then my brain's been going all night. So I feel like I've been awake all night, even though I know I'm very heavily sleeping. So they'll go, did you hear the thunderstorm last night? And I'm going, no, I didn't hear it at all. But
it was exhausting sleep.
Yeah. And then I'd wake up and kind of just try and hug my coffee, like give me life coffee. And then, as you say, I was the same. I was like, I'm fine. I go to the office. Everyone think I'm fine. And I think I did that again from a very young age. So it was kind of normal. So that was for me the bit where I was like, okay, everyone else thinks I'm fine, but I'm not. But I don't know how to ask for help because I've never really done that. So
yes.
What do I do now? And I was like trying to think of all these different ways, or like Googling all these different ways. And then Paul was like, oh, Heidi wants to talk to you about this course, Get Your Life Back. And I was like, perfect timing.
Oh, I'm so glad. I love that kind of synchronicity, because obviously as a course creator, when, you know, I mean, you were one of my so valuable beta testers. And obviously as a course creator, when we approach the people we think will be right, you know, it's always with a little bit of like, but what if it's not for them? What if it doesn't work? What if they don't want to do it? You know, there's always, because it is, anything new we do in business is our heart's really in it, isn't it? And it's quite precious. And it's really nice to hear that my timing was so good for you. I'm really glad to hear that. So do you want to tell us a bit more? Because you've gone in quite a short space of time from the business suddenly exploding and in a way that you'd longed for and worked hard for, to feeling like, I'm in trouble here and I can't ask for help and I don't want anybody to know that I'm in trouble and I don't want to let anyone down and I'm losing sleep because I'm worried I'm going to let people down. And then, just tell us what happened next.
So we did the to-do list, and that really helped me, because you always, I find with me, with everyone else, I'm like, oh, that's really bad problem for you, or like that's, you know, oh my God, how can I help? But with me, I'm like, oh, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. But when I highlighted and color coded the to-do list, like, oh, it is that bad because it's majority red. Like there's not a lot of green things that I like to do on here. So I was like, okay, it is that bad. And then you're not overthinking things, Charlotte. You're not over catastrophizing or being dramatic. There is a problem. Then Heidi's very good at kind of going, I was like, I've tried everything we've done for you. I can't make it any easier. And you're going, no, you haven't. You haven't tried everything. We can think of something else. I'm going, no, I have tried everything. I have. And then Heidi got me to do the 20 ways to fix the problem, writing it in my journal.
20 things.
Yes. 20 ways, and I had to do it for, I think it was 5 or 7 days until our next call. And I found that initially very hard, because my brain wants to think of 20 ways that would work rather than 20 ways no matter how stupid or ridiculous.
Yes, but 20 things is supposed to be fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not,
and it was fighting
focus. It's supposed to just be, go on, just write down, because did you time it? Did you do the 10-minute timer, or did you just do it?
No, I just did it. And I think I probably did it quite quickly, because I'd start off really thinking about the first 3. because I was fighting my perfectionist in me that wanted it to be 20 tangible things.
Yeah.
And then it would get to the fourth and I'd be so pissed off with myself that I couldn't think of 20 tangible things, that I would write stupid things just to get the 20 done.
You're not supposed to. If I'd said to you that come up with $100 million ideas to save your sanity in your business, like you'd have gone, but no, Heidi, you're supposed to be helping me. Like literally. And it's interesting, isn't it, that the 20 things does the opposite, but releases the gold. It gets you to the $1 million.
Oh God, yeah. Like by the day 3 or 4, it was a lot easier. It was like the first couple of days, it was like really hard, and I was like, this isn't. And then by day 3, I started doing stuff, and out of it, I had about 5 really good ideas that I then implemented and found new processes of doing things, particularly social media management. It can be quite a labor intensive if you don't have the processes in place. And it made me think of different things, and it gave me some solutions that have definitely helped with that. But it's just that initial, it was like fighting the because I am also, whenever anyone has a problem, for years I've always been the one that if they've got a problem, I'm like, right, I've got an idea to fix that. And it was like, I have and then it comes to me and I can't bloody think of any, but then I did, obviously. But that was the initial battle I had, I think.
Oh, so that all of that was within the first 2 weeks of Get Your Life Back. So
and
already you were starting to get some relief from the overwhelm and start to see, or how were you feeling, if you can remember?
So I think after doing the 20 things, it kind of opened my eyes a bit. It kind of pulled the wall back, or whatever the saying is, in terms of, look, there are other solutions, there are other ways, there is light, because it kind of felt that it was just like there was nothing. I was all or nothing. It's either I can keep giving all,
because you were in a tunnel.
Which
is the week 2, isn't it? Week 2 is identifying your tunnel, what it feels like. And so I'm guessing it's difficult to remember now, isn't it? Which is good. I think it's really good that it's difficult to remember how terrible it was at the time. But I'm guessing that the reason you were doing 20 things was to help break open the roof of your tunnel at the time. That's what I'm guessing. I don't know if you can remember.
It was more like I either keep doing done for you and get to the business and the life that I want, because at some point we'll be able to get people on and make my life easier and I won't have to do it anyway, or I just give up doing done for you, but we lose a large percentage of our income and we're back to square one. That was my 2 processes, 2 thoughts or paths that I could see. The 20 things helped me kind of go, no, there's a few other things you could try first before you do the all or nothing. Because I think I've always been very all or nothing. It was like, right, I'm very all in on GCSEs, then went to college, found my results after first year and was like, right, we're not doing that anymore. I need to find something else. And I'm very good at the big decisions. I'm very good at them. So it's like, right, I'm going to do a marketing apprenticeship. First interview, really like the place. That's the place. I know it in my gut. And then my dad's going, don't you want to go to the other one? And I'm like, nope, this is it. And then I got the job. Same when I got made redundant, got another job. And then when I was at my previous full-time employment and decided to leave TLC, I watched Brene Brown's Netflix special, and I was toying on the idea, and I just went, no, okay, we're doing it, we're leaving, because I'm going to regret it if I don't, and try and do this entrepreneur thing. So that's kind of why I was feeling frustrated, because normally with big decisions or all or nothing, it's always worked for me. All or nothing's always worked. I've always come out better off. But this was like, neither option seemed a good option.
And that is the nature of a tunnel, isn't it? That when we feel we're stuck in a tunnel, we feel that either we quit or we keep going and it's crap. And it's that rock and a hard place. It's that, I just keep going and everything will be okay, but everything isn't okay. And it's like somebody keeps adding extensions to your tunnel. So I think it's a horrible place to be. It's quite desperate. And I do remember talking to you at the time and thinking, I cannot believe that Charlotte is talking about the fact that she might want to quit. It just didn't, I mean, I didn't see it for you, because that's the thing of, anybody you work with, you see what's possible for them and you hold the space for them until they see it for themselves. But I know for you, you were really, really struggling, and it was heartbreaking for me, because I know how passionate you are about your work, and it's so nice to see how you're coping now, because I know you've got even more work now, but you've got all these processes in place. But also what's interesting for me is that I know that you've got ways of preventing yourself going back into another tunnel, despite the fact that you've just said, I've always been an all or nothing person. I always, the tunnel is the thing you use to get the next big thing done, even though it's increasing your stress. So can you just explain how you how you recognize something's about to happen and how you avert it now?
So when I first met you, I had no connection to my internal compass. I saw any negativity in my thoughts or in my body as a problem that needed fixing. There was no leniency there. There was no flexibility. Again, everything was very all or nothing. And I think one of the big things I learned is flexibility. Yeah. And is also valuing myself and my time, because I'd give everything to everyone else and set deadlines that worked, or, due dates or launch dates that worked for them, but not necessarily me.
Yeah.
Half out of fear, because obviously we were a new business, but also half out of not wanting to let them down. And so, okay, you can launch next month. That's fine. I'll just overwork myself until and now one of the ways I prevent that is saying we are only having one big launch at a time. That's what's happening. And then another thing is, right, if we're doing a membership launch, we've got to plan it from 8 weeks before, because I need 8 weeks to do it.
Yeah.
So that's been one of the big things, is knowing myself, knowing the timelines that I need, knowing when I need to outsource something. So a good thing is, recently I was getting myself into, I'm a social media expert. I have a business that sells social media management. I need to be providing the very best social for the Landscaper Circle, for TLC. I need to be doing reels. I need to be doing stories. I need to be doing lives. I need to be doing all of these things. I should be doing all of these things, etc. And all that was really happening was I was getting overwhelmed, not really doing it how I wanted it to be, getting annoyed and going in a circle. So I said, right, this has got to stop. And an account I follow had customizable templates like we do for Expert Social. But they were different. They were targeted for social media management. And these templates were just images, but it gave me the basis to spark that creative inspiration. The one thing I found with TLC is, because I'm working on so many other businesses and have so many ideas for everyone else's business, that when it came to mine, I'm like, I don't know anymore. I'm out of juice. So yeah, preventing myself as out of the tunnel is setting deadlines for me, valuing my time and knowing how long things are going to take me. And also, if I need help, and that was just a one-off purchase of 35 graphics just to get me through a busy period that we had.
Yeah.
Then do that. I can customize the graphics. I've got the inspiration for the captions. I can crack on. It's there, and I'm not stressing about it on a daily basis.
But what I love about what you've just said is your ideal clients who you want to work with are going to behave in the same way.
Yes.
Because you're showing that there are times when asking for help and paying for help is the absolute best thing to do.
Yeah. It's something that Paula and I would preach about. It's kind of outsource, and not with TLC, but if you were looking for other things such as accounting or things like that, go outsource those things. And it was I think I fell into the trap of, particularly as a new business owner, of but I can't afford to.
Yeah.
I can't afford to. Yeah. What could I do? But then I was like, I think with you, I learned the flexibility of, okay, well, maybe we don't go for this big thing, but let's just do this little thing, and then that'll help. Or I think, and noticing, being in tune with myself is probably the other thing, and knowing when things are getting too much, or because I used to just override that. No, we're not having that. We're going to keep going. I don't want to listen. I don't want to listen to that headache. That headache I can take some painkillers and I'll crack on. That was that was me. Whereas now I'm like, right, okay, I feel really knackered this morning. I've got a headache. I know why. It's because I had a late evening yesterday doing a masterclass. Okay, well, we're not going to do anything this morning. Whereas I was like, I couldn't do that before.
No, and I love what I've loved watching is not only have you really tuned in to yourself and you're really listening to your body, connecting to your heart, and more able to control your attention, which we know is so important, but also you're able to actually speak up for yourself. not just to ask for help, but to set better boundaries. And I've really admire you for that, because I think that's something that all of us are constantly needing to adjust is, you know, like you talked about deadlines and circles with people. And it's just being able to say, actually, no, this is what I need. And it, rather than the normal thing of that overwhelming fear of disappointing others, which I think is probably even greater than the fear, you know, I mean, your business isn't new anymore. My business isn't new anymore, you know, and letting go of that fear, you know, our businesses are successful, but it's easy to get pulled back into that scarcity. What if? But actually, I think the fear of overwhelming the overwhelming fear of disappointing others is actually greater, because we'll be okay because we're resilient. We'll just get on with it. But okay is not good enough, is it, anymore? You know, I don't want to just be limping through and avoiding disappointing others. I don't want to disappoint anybody else. But I don't know about you, but I've really learned, like you say, that valuing yourself, valuing your time, your energy, your attention first. And from that place, you know, I've watched you change your boundaries, put in different deadlines. And I think we were having a conversation, weren't we, about how different people need different deadlines.
Yeah.
And for you wanted, you know, you need stuff in, you need a longer deadline, you just need more flexibility. And asking for that and then getting it, how did that feel when you started to shift your boundaries with all of your, particularly in social media, where there is that pressure to, you know, there's lots of different dates, lots of different accounts to manage. How did it feel when you started to put in processes that created healthier boundaries for you? How did that feel?
It was very like immediately kind of stress relieving, because I used to say a post was going live on the Tuesday, I'd set them the deadline of getting me the information on the Monday. And that was always because they're saying how busy they are, and everyone's busy, and I get that. But it was like, well, no, realistically, that's just leaving me to do it on the day of. And that's when that panic that I haven't posted or I've forgotten about it happens. So setting those deadlines was really, really good. And boundaries for me was the hardest thing, because you say it's the fear of disappointing others. I was worried that they're going to be disappointed because those boundaries don't fit with them anymore and they're going to leave as a client, or if it's people in my personal life, like if I put those boundaries in, what are they going to say? Because also I think for me, I'd never had that in personal or like business. I'd never had any boundaries. It was all give everything. And then it was like, hold on a minute, what's for me? I always used to feel bad, because then I was like, oh, I feel really selfish now. But it's not selfish to be like, I started a business to have this life. And actually there's a meme going around at the minute that has popped up on my Facebook feed a couple of times, and it's like, I quit my 9-to-5 job to have more flexibility to work 24/7.
Yeah.
And it's that like contradiction. And I definitely fell into that, and I think setting those boundaries was really hard, because it felt like, and I don't know if you remember this, because it was a long time ago, but feels like a long time ago. It really wasn't. He set me one week the task of, right, every day I want you to sacrifice something for someone else. So it'd be like nothing big, nothing major, but even if it's in personal or business, do you I can't word it correctly, but the letting someone down in a small way.
Yeah, it wasn't that, but down. It was just daring to, it was playing with the boundaries. So yes, just allowing something to go that nobody would notice, but that for you would feel like a big deal, so that you got used to tolerating the discomfort.
Yes, that was the one. And it probably came out of my mouth, because that's how it felt. Like it felt the first few times I had to do it. Because again, a lot of the pressure I was putting on myself and a lot of the things that I was stressing about, no one would have even noticed. No. Obviously, we've talked about the big things like a social post going out. But for me, it would be like this little process behind the scenes that no one even knows exists. But for me, it's really important. Or like, I really want to get this out, but I have to do it in this particular way.
Yes.
Make it perfect, and letting that go and just saying, okay, do you know what, the social post, we'll bash it together today for TLC, and I've got a lot on done for you, so this is a post that's going to go out, and or just little things, and it felt like I was like, I don't know, being separated from like a child. It was just like agony. It was just like and I was just like, this is painful. But it was kind of, yeah, playing again with that expectation that I'd had of myself, just to have everything perfect all the time.
Was it worth it?
Oh, 100%. Everything that we went through was always painful for about the first couple of days, because it was just challenging me, and it was challenging me to do something differently or do something better, not for anyone else, but for me, what worked better for me. But to get to that place of what I wanted, it was that little bit of hard to then get to that place. And I think over the 12 weeks, I think what was really awesome was with Get Your Life Back, you immediately see in the first couple of weeks the light, because you kind of know that, okay, I'm not alone, I'm not crazy, I'm not feeling like this, you know, there are opportunities, there are different ways, there is a better way, this isn't all or nothing, I've got another option. And also because it's 12 weeks, I'm like, right, I've been feeling this overwhelm for however many weeks, however many months, years. I can give 12 weeks to this. I can see if this can work. And then after the 12 weeks, you kind of go, like, after 12 weeks, if it all goes to pot, then fine. But then obviously by like week 2, I'm like, right, okay, yeah. I think after week 2, I was like starting to feel motivated again. And ironically now, done for you is my favorite part of the business. My favorite part to work on. It's the bit I enjoy. It's doing all the things I love. It's the projects, it's the campaigns, it's the graphics, it's the copy. And it all came down to getting Mia to help me when I needed her to help me, getting her trained so that she could help me. It came down to putting in new processes and the deadlines and everything we just discussed, and just figuring out what I really, because I think also when we don't have a lot of money, or you start off with a small business, it's that, oh, I'll take on anything. I'll do all sorts of marketing services. Anything that I know I can do quality, like I can do well, I will do it, regardless of whether I enjoy doing it or not. I was doing all the services that I did not enjoy. And then I kind of went, no, okay. So on the website, we used to have an online shop where it had all of our agency services on there. And I went, I don't want to do that anymore, Paula. I was like, I want to focus on websites, logos and branding, social media management. And if they want something else, they contact us, because we most likely do it. So SEO is another one, ranking in Google. I quite like doing it, but it wasn't the one that I wanted to push out of the 3. I was like, those are the ones we're pushing. It also gives us a focus to push rather than we just do everything. And as well, it's focusing on the things that I enjoy doing. And that made a big difference as well. And it was, again, playing with that thing of missing out.
Because I think for me, there's this huge secret in following your heart. You know, it's like we're told not to, but actually look how much energy and focus you get when you're there. It just shifts. It shifts so much.
Now I'll get a new inquiry for a website and I'm excited, and then I start working on it and I'm excited and I'm looking forward to it, because I know I can help this client get an amazing website that, you know, they'll come to me and say, I really want it to get new inquiries, or I want it to get, you know, an online shop. And I'm like, yeah, this is going to be awesome for you. And I get excited. Logos and branding always excites me, because it's just playing with graphics, and it's making it's encompassing the feeling as well. It's that emotiveness of like, how do we want the brand to feel? How do we want it to attract people? And social media, again, is another one of my loves that I grew to hate for a while, because it just felt like it was what everyone wanted, but it was just like it's just zapping me. I've got nothing else.
It's such a pleasure to talk to you and hear more about your story, and also to hear how being in Get Your Life Back helped you. But mostly I'm just really excited that you've got your passion and your energy back, and to hear you so fired up. Woohoo for you. Where can people find out more about how to work with you?
You can go to www.thelandscaperscircle.co.uk, or give us an email, info@thelandscaperscircle.co.uk. There's a lot on the website on how we can help you, whether you're looking at membership, kind of just support, coaching, or more of the done for you agency services. And yeah, I just want to say thank you to Heidi, because I mean, I say it's business changing, but it is also life changing, because everything that you do and get your life back comes, not only applies to the business, but it applies to your life. And it helped my relationships, because I set boundaries not only for work, but boundaries in my personal life. And yeah, it was kind of, it challenges you, and it's the best kind of challenge. The pain I'm talking about is the best kind of pain, because I knew that it was pain for a bigger goal that would make me happier at the end of the day.
Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you for that. If you were going to give anybody a top tip for staying out of overwhelm, what would it be?
I would say, even if you're not ready to contact Heidi, do a course with Heidi or anything like that, if you're not at that stage yet, do that color coding of your to-do list, because that for me was an eye-opener. I think sometimes we often go, it's not that bad, I'm just exaggerating, I just need a holiday, I just need this. But highlighting when I enjoyed tasks, yellow when I was like, meh, and then red when I was like, really hate it, don't want to do, or when you don't feel like doing it as well. Because I also have learned how to structure my days differently to cater to how I work best. Doing that was a real eye-opener to say, okay, no, like the whole of my diary is red. I'm not just thinking it. Clearly something is wrong. I need to change right now. How do I change it? It's kind of if you're kind of on the fence thinking, do I really need to do this? Then that's my tip.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast. Thank you so much, Charlotte.
Thank you.
To find out more about my tiny, huge, life-changing practices, please visit www.heidimark.co.uk.